Hello friends, welcome into another video. I'm Dust Food, and today we are going to witness a very dramatic confession on my part. That being that I am human and I make mistakes. So, with that in mind, and look, I'll pause. Okay, you've had time to collect yourself. Yeah, so I'm a human, right? this was in doubt for a little bit, but I am not only a human, but I'm a content creator. I put content out there and I say, hey world, here are my thoughts. What do you think? And sometimes the world comes back and they say, hey Food, we really like this. And then sometimes the world comes back and they say, you freaking idiot, you big old dumb doofus, you dumb idiot, how dare you? And in those times, a content creator can do one of two things. They can say, you know what? No, you're the big dumb doofus. You're stupid. I hate you and your takes and you're mean and I'm going home. Or they can look at what people had issues with and they can say, yeah, you know what? I see where they're coming from, or maybe even I agree with where they're coming from. All of that to say, I was looking through some of my old videos just trying to... I had this idea. Of, I bet I've had some takes I don't stand by anymore. And I was looking through, and sure enough, there are some that I look at and I say, wow, I would not make that video today. That is not something I would do today. So what I would like to do is I would like to go through my old videos and I would like to pick a few out that I really just don't stand by anymore. And look, it's nothing too serious. I'm not trying to avoid cancellation or something. It's just that I've had some bad takes in the past and I want to have a little bit of fun. I guess poke a little fun at them. So without further ado, let's get into it. Up first, we actually have my very first YouTube video of all time, which was titled, Is the Spirit Broken? And look, at the time, one thing you got to keep in mind is this is not debating is Spirit that's currently in Dead by Daylight broken. This is Spirit at the height of her power. Is she still broken? So this video originally came back in October 2nd, 2020. And to say I don't agree with it anymore, you know, I'm so embarrassed. Not because it was some astronomically, like, it wasn't an immoral take. It was just dumb. At the height of her power, the Spirit was oppressive in a way that really no killer was. In a way that had some people putting her above the nurse. Because unlike Nurse, she really didn't offer anything in the way of counterplay. So I've left that video up because I'm not going to run from that take. And I kind of want to keep it up for, you know, continuity's sake. So I can always look back and say, okay, what was wrong with this video? The overly formal tone, the way that I was speaking, kind of reserved, okay, now welcome in. We're going to talk about, you know, do I stand by it anymore? No, I don't think it was a great take on my part. But with that being said, I don't think it's even close to the worst take I've had. So for the most part, I'm okay with that. Let me go. I made a little list of the ones that were especially bad. So yeah, next up we have one that usually I'm not going to call myself out for getting a prediction wrong. Because, you know, predictions are kind of risky. Predictions are not always going to... They're not always going to pan out. There are going to be times where you look at it and you say, you know what? I felt like this was how it was going to go. It didn't go that way. I regret that, but what are you going to do? So I will not normally put on wrong predictions. However, there was one. It actually came almost a month after my first video. In November 6th, 2020, I did Wendigo coming to Dead by Daylight? Question mark. And by the way, this thing blew up by my early channel standards. Right now it's got 336 views, which would be very poor performance for a video for me because I'm very blessed to have all of you here. But at the time, I was hyped because people were watching, but not everybody was liking what they were seeing. And, you know, basically what it came down to is the Twins teaser. So to give you the context, the first teaser for the Twins came out and it showed some kind of snowy forest and you saw a little bit of Victor's hand and you heard his screech and I was like, oh, that's probably the Wendigo from Until Dawn, which obviously all this time later we can easily say, no, it wasn't an Until Dawn chapter and no, it was not a Wendigo. So just a really terrible take. And the reason I include it on here when I say that I'm not really interested in wrong guesses is because I look back at it and I had so little to go off of, and I think that was probably a time where I just didn't have a lot to add into the conversation of the new teaser. And by the way, I didn't mislead. I wasn't trying to get it wrong. I saw that and I genuinely jumped to, wow, Wendigo, for sure. But obviously that did not end up being the case. And from that point forward, I've been a lot more selective with what predictions I put out there. However, I had a bit of a bang bang whoopsie, because the very next video I put out 3 days after that one, on November 9th, 2020, was called Dead by Daylight Should Be Free to Play. Now, this is one of them that I mainly wanted to cover, because I could see the day where this comes up and people say, hey Food, what's up with this horrendous take? And let me defend it a little bit while also condemning it. So, because I am nothing if not a fence sitter, right? So, what ended up happening with that one is I got the general spirit right, but I got the solution wrong. So, I looked at DBD and I said, wow, this thing is basically a free-to-play game with all of the microtransactions, the endless grind. I mean, it's kind of like, so to give a quick example of what I would liken it to, I'm going to lose a lot of gamer credibility here. I play AFK Arena in my free time. It's just a good mindless game where I can collect my favorite champions, right? But every time I think, wow, my team is getting pretty strong, what AFK Arena does is they add a new metric by which you can strengthen your characters. So it used to be, you know, you have 4 pieces of armor and they could get up to tier 1 or tier 2, I can't remember. But then they added tier 3 and this was a big deal. And just as I was getting all my top characters to tier 3 armor, whoa, now there's tier 4 armor. And now you can engrave your characters and you can set up houses for them that also influence their stats and yada, 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 yada. It just goes on. And there's always some kind of way they are artificially making it to where you are not actually close to quote unquote completing a game. Which, by the way, for a game like AFK Arena or Dead by Daylight, completing would basically just be collecting everything, because there is no like story to beat per se. So the thought process behind that one, I can live with. I don't mind where I was coming from. What I mind is the solution that it should be free to play. And the reason for that is not because I came to it naturally on my own, but because experience has beaten it into me that it was a disastrous take. So if you don't know, when DBD went to the Epic Games Store, they did, what was it, it was free for like the first week or the first 10 days, whatever it was. It was free. And what this allowed to happen was a bunch of bot accounts were able to be created. Or not bot accounts, a bunch of hackers were able to create free accounts. No charge. Not even the low prices they can get it off of other websites. No charge. None. And they were able to set up just buku-doodles of accounts so that when they get banned, they're able to just pop into another account like it's nothing, or sell the accounts. And there is a definitive, I would say a definitive correlation between the rise of the cheater problem and going free on the Epic Games Store. So I look at that one, and again, I understand the spirit of it. I understand where I was coming from, and I don't have a problem. I don't really have a problem with that aspect of it. What I have a problem with is the solution, because the solution would have broken the game forever, and it shows why even somebody like me, look, am I the smartest guy around? No. But I put thought into what I say, and I try to have good takes, so I don't want to just look back and say, oh, what an idiot. But in this case, behavior was right not to listen to me, because I was in the wrong. My solution was bad. The actual solution is just reduce the grind. Stop adding artificial grind. You know, remove perk tiers, give more blood points, yada yada. We know the solutions at this point. But, you know, at the time, I was trying to come at it from a new angle, and unfortunately that angle was bad, and for that, I do apologize. We went a pretty good amount of time before I had my next kind of bad take, and this is actually on a video that I'm very proud of, and I would highly recommend you watch if you haven't seen it. But I did one called Characters Dead by Daylight Should Not Add, all caps, not. And the big issue with that one was one character. So there were people in the comments, I remember one of them was like, oh, these are just like your opinions. And yeah, that's true. that's true. Those were my opinions. Most of my videos are my opinions. And, you know, I'm not really a news channel per se. I'm more just say, hey, here's what I'm thinking on things. So that's not what I'm sorry for. I just want to clarify. Yeah, if you're watching my videos, unless it's specifically like a news update, like, hey, here's what behavior just announced, here are coming changes. But even then, I'll usually offer my thoughts on those. What I regret is that in that video, I said that they shouldn't add Slenderman or any creepypasta. And look, I stand by the fact that most creepypastas, 99.9% of them, are terrible, horrible, not scary, poorly written. Go back, read them. If you haven't read them in a minute and you have these memories of them being scary, it's kind of like the people who watched Stephen King's It as children, like the TV miniseries, and they grew up thinking that this was the scariest thing ever put to film. And then they go back and they watch it as adults and they're like, oh, this is goofy. This is really goofy. There's a story, Moist Critical talks about One Last Call, I think it was, that as a kid he thought it was the scariest thing ever. And then he went back and he watched it as an adult and he was like, what in the hell? You know, how did this scare me? And it's kind of the same thing to me with the creepypastas. Creepypastas are terrible. I'm sorry, you don't have to agree with me on it, but creepypastas are terrible. But so too was my take that Slenderman should never be added to DVD. Because honestly, Slenderman is in some ways a cultural touchstone for an early age of YouTube. And to lump him in with the other creepypastas like Jeff the Killer and all that idiocy, it was just in and of itself idiocy. It was a bad take, and honestly, if Slenderman were to come to Dead by Daylight, I would be excited about it. I think that Slenderman would be a fantastic addition, and you know, I guess I just wasn't really seeing the light there, so you know, I owe Slenderman and his fans an apology. I'll try to get it right the next time. Next, we have a less goofy, less fun one. This was actually the video that kind of led to my channel's initial blow up. It was called Behavior Doesn't Like Criticism, and it was released in January 25th, 2022. And look, I stand by, as I've done with most of these, the core concept here. I do believe that behavior struggles to accurately accept criticism. They have this habit of kind of holding up any criticism as being destructive instead of constructive. That stays true. I don't think that's untrue. However, one of the controversies I covered in this was actually due to a massive mental error on my part. And this is where earlier in the video I said, you know, I don't think I'm the smartest guy, but hopefully I'm not stupid. Well, I was stupid this time. So to clarify, I was reporting on something that happened in January of 2021, but I misread the articles about it. All of them. It happened because I read like 3 articles to try to cover it, and I read it as January 2022. So naturally, I released this video in January of 2022, and I was reporting on something that was a year old. And guys, that one's super embarrassing for me. That is such a goof, just such a bad take. And look, by the way, I still stand by the thing that happened was definitely very unfortunate, and I really don't... Look, I don't like to go after behavior as people, but if you know, you know, and what I was reporting on from 2021, I still think that person has a bit of a problematic history in how he deals with the community. But, you know, I'm not calling for any jobs or anything. I'm just saying he's still employed there, and I do think that he's part of the problem. But to report on it a year after the fact and not realize that it's a year after the fact means that I'm also part of the problem. And by the way, it's led to me being a lot more careful about what I report on. That's why I make so many goofy videos, because I can just come out and riff a little bit. But, you know, if I'm doing something news related, you best believe I'm looking into it now, because I thought I was before, but I didn't realize, you know, little things, double check the dates, cross the T's, dot the I's, things like that, or else you lose credibility. And that one is kind of embarrassing to me because it's my most viewed video, and I know that there are people who, just going off the numbers, who watched that and they said, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about, and they left and they never came back. And I can't really blame them for that, because I got that one wrong. That was not so much a bad take as it was just an out-of-date take. So, again, like with so many of these, I do apologize for that, and I'll do better in the future. Even though it wasn't the immediate future, because right after that one, on February 2nd, 2022, I made a video called Don't Stream Dead by Daylight. Now, if you just go off the title sounds like I hate Dead by Daylight or like I'm trying to, get DBD in some kind of trouble. No, it was actually not a video that was really anti-DBD. It was actually more anti-Twitch discoverability. And while there are some aspects of Dead by Daylight that I certainly think, I certainly would say, I wasn't wrong. It's an oversaturated game. However, one thing that comments have pointed out, and I will certainly allow, is that DBD is fantastic for streaming in the sense of, people love watching killer gameplay, or if you're playing Survivor, you have all of this idle time where you're just sitting there holding M1, doing virtually nothing. And if you're not doing that, you're being looped, which is entertaining to watch. Maybe you're hanging on a hook, maybe you're holding M1 on a generator, holding M1 to heal, holding M1 to cleanse bones, whatever it is. Lots of holding M1. And that gives you a lot of time to interact with chat. And also, you can always put TTV in your name, and while some people don't like that, as we saw in a future video, it's a great way to make new friends. I've certainly had people come to my stream because I had TTV in my name, and they've gone on to become regulars. So I think that the Don't Stream Dead by Daylight one is the one that out of all of these, maybe it's just the worst take. Maybe it's the worst take because there are kernels of truth in what I'm saying, and the intention was good. I was trying to help up and coming streamers, but I don't know. I think it was a bit of a misfire on my part. And again, we'll try to do better. We're not looking to do anything too crazy. And then lastly, I think I just want to close off on a minor one. We've gotten past the kind of stickier ones. Here's one that I don't regret the video, and I don't think it was a bad video, yada yada. But Dead by Daylight's 6th anniversary chapter, which was released March 4th of this year, I predicted that Pennywise would be the chapter for the anniversary. I don't know why I lost the word anniversary there. And with everything that's come out, it just really doesn't look like that's going to happen. So getting out ahead of this one, I'm going to say that's another prediction that I got wrong. And, I'm not embarrassed by it. That's one of them. It's like, fine, I got it wrong. I just kind of wanted to end it on a bit of a lighter one. After talking about some genuine slip-ups, I wanted to give it on one where it was like, haha, I got this wrong. What a big doo-doo. What a big doo-doo head. And I think that's going to do it for me. I don't know. I'm looking now at my list of videos. I could have talked about the satisfaction survey one recently that some people did not seem to like as much. But look, guys, I don't want stickers for the post-game chat. I'm not... Just because it's a controversial take doesn't mean I think it's a wrong take. I'm going to stand by that one. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope that you will ride with me as I try to make better takes in the future. Look, this is going to be, I think, my 90th video. So to only pick out a handful of them that I truly think were bad takes, I can live with that. I can actually live with that, and I really hope that, I don't say anything too stupid in the future. But hey, this is where you come in. If you have a take of mine, and it may not be the entire purpose of a video. It could be, hey, I watched your Smasher Pass. Here's one you got wrong. Or, hey, I watched your Sad Girls one. Here's somebody that's a sad girl that, you're not thinking about. Or whatever it is, right? Whatever it might be. I talked about Claudette being one of the best characters. Maybe you disagree. Call me out on it. Let me know. As always, I do read all of the comments, and I appreciate hearing from you guys. It's really fun. Even if the comments, it's not just the overly nice ones. I enjoy the constructive ones too, because they give me something to go off of. As far as the destructive ones, I like those too, because that makes for a funny pin. So that's going to do it for me. I have been Das Food, and until next time, bye friends.
I've been dreaming on in my head like I've seen it. A life worth living is a life with meaning. I'll do what I love till my heart stops beating. I'm feeding this demon. Got a taste, can't erase bitterness in my